Hi again, folks. This is another round of our podcast here with the uber-talented Andrew Tozer, and we're going to have a chat about some of his bits and pieces that he's been up to. But first, I'd like to know about you working outside. I know a lot of people work from pictures, photographs, and they sort of do a little bit outside and sketch and things like that.
Yeah.
But you like sitting outside most of the time, do you? That's where you work from?
Yeah, I suppose I do a lot of the work outside. It started off really when I was a student. I used to take a little pack of gear, paints and brushes, real sort of minimal stuff, and just go and in a little sort of paper sketch pad and just go and paint wherever I fancied it around London, really. And that sort of led on to me sort of painting the bigger things outside as well. So
and you were at college in London?
Yeah. I ended up at St Martin's. Learned a lot of stuff really at it was the old Harrow Art School, but it was the University of Westminster it morphed into. But I ended up at St Martin's, and it was probably some of the more conceptual ideas that I got a bit fed up with. And
we were just talking about that. Yeah. We just had a long conversation. We could have actually taped all of that. It's getting back to the simplicity of stuff.
Yeah. I think that with the art schools, it's very sort of you're surrounded with the sort of the here and now and what's trendy but I think I got the end of the MA and realised that I just mostly enjoyed painting outside. I used to do it with a friend. We would just end up down around Richmond or Kew Gardens or Trafalgar Square, and we'd just be painting on the spot, and then we'd go to the pub afterwards, and it was something that I really enjoyed, really. And that was the sort of the late 90s, and the Cornish art scene was sort of taking off at that point, and people were buying into it, and I'd more or less finished this course, and I thought I'd just move back home and
that's your roots. That's where you came from.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose at the time, there were people that I liked their work. Robert Jones was one of them, probably Ted Dyer as well, and it was realising that you could actually make a living out of something that you enjoyed, but also to be in an amazing place doing it.
Right. And do you think that's been lost? I mean, that was another question, that this skill base about being taught, about working outside and all that. What is it?
Oh, it's definitely lost. A lot of the things that you have to physically do when you're out there. I mean, just down to little things it was quite a number of years. I used to struggle with a sort of a tripod easel, and I came across a picture of an old guy. I think it was Stanhope Forbes or someone like that. And just had this big stone tied like a pendulum in the middle of his easel, and of course you do that, and you can actually work in like almost like a gale, and the thing doesn't blow over because it's so anchored. But it's things like that that there is a craft that you have to know,
right?
That goes along with it. You can have the desire to paint something outside, but if you're always fighting against, you don't know how to do it, it's going to quickly become frustrating for you.
Right.
And unless you've got a lot of time, you're probably going to give up. So there is a loss of skill.
Because he's not taught at college, that is it, or do you feel it should be, or more about this thing about going back to go forward?
Yeah, I think so. I think that it isn't taught, because I got to be careful in some ways what I say, because I had a good experience at art schools in many ways, but I think what I found in recent years, so the past sort of 5 years, there's been an understanding that actually students do need a bit of grounding in the craft of things, and more sort of skills-based things. So I think it is coming back. But
you think it would be better maybe to have more of that, to be taught more of that actually back at college before you go out?
I think so. I mean, I know that I was talking to someone who did a fine art course in one of the major art schools, shall we say, and for one, they'd never used oil paint. And that was after a 3-year degree course. And also, they had never been actually shown how to sort of lay a palette out, because there's sort of ways that you do it if you're working with limited colours, or it's it all helps to make your work easier. But there has been a sort of a loss of knowledge, I think, and that's why I've always been a fan of reading the Artist magazine, Artist and Illustrator, because what you have is you have interviews with some of the old school artists like Ken Howard, Fred Cooming, people like that, Richard Pikesley, who have still kept the tradition going, and you learn so much of these old guys. So I think that's the best way if you want to paint. How do you say it, sort of realistically or from life? Probably get a book on Ken Howard, and he sort of gives a lot of his great information to people. I think it's amazingly kind to do. Another thing, it's like very rarely will you get a demonstration in art schools. It's you find your own visual language, whatever that might be, and then you just develop that. And that seems to be the way that a lot of it is now. But
well, it's quite obvious your paintings fly out the door from the Harbour Gallery, but do you find that I know Matisse, you were telling me once that Matisse says that a piece of art should be like an old armchair or whatever, something like that. Do you feel that you be drawn to do something that people will like, or do you find that you put that to one side and do what you like and hope that your fans will like it?
I think I'm quite lucky. I've been thinking about that, and I think I'm lucky in the sense that very often if you're out in the landscape, it will be the things that you look at and think, God, that's beautiful, or it takes your breath away in some ways. You think, I've got to put that down. And I think it's very similar to what a lot of other people like, and so it isn't really contrived for me. So I see beauty in something, and I want to put it down and sort of share it, I suppose. And it's really as simple as that. It's it started quite young. I mean, probably about the age of 8 or 9, I would take a camera with me. I just like taking pictures of, beautiful things. And it's.
When did you start to develop painting? Did you not do it till you went to college, or were you doing it dawdling as a kid?
I was always drawing as a child. I think, really, because Mum used to paint a lot and draw a lot, so there was always a lot of kit around this house. And I think that probably about the age of 10 or 11, I started copying album covers and things like that, And then I went to school and had a really good art teacher there. He showed me the Impressionists, showed me people like Bonnard and Matisse and lots of other things. And really, I suppose by the age of 15 or so, I was convinced I was a painter, and so I had to go to art school for a few years, and I came back to my original idea of being a sort of landscape painter, and that's
where you stayed at.
Yeah.
And so what about the future now? The mighty Andrew Tozer, where is he going?
Well, I think when I was younger, I had the idea that you would develop this style, and you were seeking a perfect style, and that would be it, and then you would stay with that forever. And it just doesn't work like that, because I look back on work that I've done in the past and think, I don't do it like that anymore, and or I like that bit that I did back then, but I don't do that anymore, and that'd be hard to fit in. I think you're always moving forward, and I've always got new things in mind of what I'm doing. So I've been painting quite a lot of the children and my wife and interiors recently, but
that's definitely a step away, because you're sort of known as a landscape artist.
It is a step away, and I think it's the same thing as going back to when I sort of go out and find something beautiful in the landscape. I find it in lots of different places, and I think you have to wait for your skills to sort of catch up with your ideas.
Well, I imagine now, because you are now married with 3 young children, and your love was landscapes and the beauty in that. You're now seeing the beauty and the love in your family and all that kind of thing. So I guess it's a natural progression that you would want to put that onto canvas somewhere.
Yeah, I think you're right, definitely. It's just when you see the baby in the cot, or you see the children sort of in the garden playing with each other and not knowing that you're looking, you think, God, it's sort of tender moment, and you think, God, that is amazing. To put that down, you almost have a sort of a urge to put that down. I was talking to my wife, funny enough, this morning, and I was talking about Amy Winehouse's music, and it was the Manic Street Preachers were talking about it, and they're saying when she sings a song, it's totally believable. If she's talking about love or loss or pain, you think it's totally believable. It's not about vocal gymnastics.
She's been there.
She's been there. Yeah. And I think that's. I'm not comparing myself to Amy Winehouse, but I'm saying that when I see something that moves me, I do have a desire or a need to try to sort of put it down.
So we're going to fill the gallery walls up by the looks of it with Andrew's kids and his family at a gallery near you soon.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Andrew. Good to see you.
Thanks, Mark.